What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Brock, and tonight we wrap up Revolution 2096 with Vengeance. Focus on Vengeance. And Janus the Overman.
Yeah, both these guys, I think, were the top one and two guys in this set.
Yeah, for sure.
Vengeance was a complete 180, I think, on how gladiators were looked at.
Hmm.
They
I
brought him
agree.
in. He was incredibly, he was sadistic and cruel.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that probably, pull the wings off a butterfly.
He's that big of a jerk.
And now that Pete Beck gave us a little bit of
Yeah,
trivia,
he did.
Vengeance was also the first guy with the ad one.
Yeah, on his eye cleaver move. And she uses this pointy fingernail here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty nasty.
What's funny for me is he didn't do well.
Yeah, I don't remember doing much with him either. Um, it was always exciting to get a new gladiator. But yeah, I just kind of remember this. He unfortunately got lost in the shuffle.
In his feuds, he is 1, 9, and 2.
Wow. He didn't fare too well.
No, he's a guy that just severely underperformed. Like his first Wolf lost, Carnage lost, Raven he drew, and then he lost. And then I had a pretty violent three-way with Holocaust, Homicide, and Vengeance.
Okay.
He drew against Holocaust, lost against Homicide, and lost against Massacre, lost against Spike, lost 2 years against Matador, beat Matador, and then just recently lost to Dregs.
Okay. Well, that's some stiff competition, though.
Yeah, but only one feud win.
Yeah. Looking at his card, he should be pretty tough.
Yep.
He's got a 4-1 pin, two downs on his card with a leave, one with a leave. He keeps you on level 3. I bet he gets disqualified a lot, though. He's got a DQ rating of 6 with the double out of the ring without a choice.
Yeah.
So he was always throwing somebody out of the ring.
Now that's not to say he didn't do much for me. Like
Hmm.
he came in, he captured the GWF TV title, and he won enough, got enough points. After he lost that, he went after the interaction singles. He captured that. Had enough wins, qualified himself for the heavyweight, got the heavyweight title.
Okay.
And so he's done that, but that's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years,
Okay.
3 titles, which not a very impressive run.
Yeah.
But what
He's
makes it interesting and coincidental that we're doing Vengeance and Janus is I hold a massive tournament called the Grand Championship,
okay.
where it's 128-man tournament.
Nice.
Now it takes place over a week,
Okay.
and the finals was Janus and Vengeance,
Yes.
and Janus beat Vengeance in the finals.
Cool.
It was like they were both just coming into their own. So it was no, it was interesting. He did good. Uh, with me, what I did with him is now as so people do know, I'm not a fan of the ad one.
Hmm.
For me, when I introduced Vengeance, I introduced him with the add one, but I rolled that add one like 15 times a match.
Yeah.
Like it was just ridiculous, and he mowed through everybody, and I'm like, okay, I will keep the add one, but the add one only works once in a match now for me
Hmm. Yeah, you've
because
talked about that before.
it was ridiculous between him and I play tested a match once with Grovel, and that was even worse. Grovel was like 30 add ones to a guy, and
Yeah, I never tried to pin him.
I'm like, okay, this is it's one of the game mechanics I am not a fan of.
Hmm. It's very common now.
Oh
Just
yeah,
about everybody has it now.
yeah.
I,
And it doesn't bother me
hmm.
because it only works once.
Yeah, I like it because it speeds matches up.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. But yeah, I've started the referee stoppage now. If it gets to a point where you can't mathematically roll above, so if it reaches the 12, if your pin rating reaches 12, then it's just over. Referee stoppage because otherwise you could could be dead if you keep putting add one pins on, add ones on them and you never try and pin them. So I feel like that should just be referee stoppage if it reaches 12.
Well, I figured with Vengeance with his add one with the eye gout, you wouldn't have eyeballs left.
Right. Just be blind.
Like the whole promotion would be Pulsar Primes, just walking around with one eye.
Uh,
So I just limit it now to one time, and it works for me. It's my own house rule,
yeah.
I've never once pushed it on anybody. People ask me how I do it, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it's just one time. I know there are people that really don't like that I do that. They're like, it takes away from the character. Well, yeah, it does, but I also don't like a guy rolling it, 8 times in a match
Hmm.
and just simply winning without, why even have a finisher?
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of guys recently, instead of having a finisher, like some lower tier guys, just have an add one move or two in place of a finisher, which could be more brutal if
Yeah,
your opponent rolls the right way. But it could also just be long, drawn out, boring matches too.
yeah. So with Vengeance, so what I did is I gave him a year off. I made him get suspended.
Makes sense.
He, and then because I had to figure out what to do with him, and so during that suspension, he um I arranged it where the move could only work. Add ones only could work once,
Okay.
and it made him even more feared.
Hmm.
He got suspended because people were terrified of him. So
Right.
it just added to his mystique.
Yeah, because all of his moves, like, well, not all of them, but a good bit. He has a vicious bite, a face mangler, a torture grip, eye cleaver, turnbuckle crack. Can only imagine what that is. So yeah, he's got a spine buster. He's got a lot of just like injure your opponent type moves.
Yeah, and I also had him uh, a leaner gladiator. Like I had him coming in at 6'2", 250 pounds.
He's got agility over power, which is uncommon for gladiators at
Yeah.
the time, at least. Let's see what his official rating is. 6'1", 251.
Oh, so we're very close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had because I think he was the first gladiator to have agility.
Yeah, I think so. Because the only ones you had right now were, well, maybe Thunder, but he didn't really wrestle now.
No,
But
you had Brute, Massacre, Spike,
yeah,
Mayhem, and then Vengeance.
yeah. So, yep, powerhouses.
So he did. Like I said, I I do like the character,
Hmm.
and I teamed up Vengeance and Mayhem as a tag team,
Okay.
and I just call them Vengeance and Mayhem. Like they don't have anything particular, but they're like even though Vengeance is a leader of the group, they act as like the gatekeepers for the gladiators.
Yeah.
You go through those two, you've been in a war.
Right, right. He was never really in an official tag team.
No,
He was always kind of just the guy.
yeah, he's for me currently right now he's the unofficial leader.
Okay.
But I also have it where the other gladiators just don't like him.
Yeah, because he's such a jerk.
Yep. And
Yeah.
so I got a power struggle working on right now between Mayhem and Vengeance. It's like, yeah, which loony do you want in charge?
Yeah, right. I think I'd take Mayhem in that scenario. He was more goofy than sadistic, I think.
Yeah,
So he put his own body on the line too.
yeah, he was like a Cactus Jack.
Yeah, yeah, right. Where this guy was just,
He's
brutal.
Kevin Sullivan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he eventually he goes and gets himself killed though, so
Oh, Vengeance does?
spoiler alert.
I know he killed Massacre. I didn't know he died as well. So yeah, you just spoiled that.
I won't say how it happened.
Somebody will.
Yeah, somebody
Somebody will
else.
spoil it in the comments.
Well, maybe I misspoke. Good stuff.
But yeah, I do have big plans for him coming up. I got a Gladiator War coming up.
Hmm. And there's one coming up not too far in this timeline as well.
That's the time I'm looking at. There's going to be a Gladiator War.
Okay.
Mike is coming back, so I was going to have, and I'm still deciding it. I think I was going to have Spike, Mayhem, and Thunder take on Overkill, Vengeance, and Malice.
Okay.
Have it come to a head.
Yeah, that's not too far away in the official timeline, the Gladiator Civil War. We'll be getting to that shortly. But yeah, Vengeance. First guy with an add one move.
A little bit of trivia from Pete Beck.
Yeah, I would not have known that if Pete didn't say something.
No, I
So
wouldn't even
thank
have
you,
thought
Pete.
about it really.
Yeah, me neither. Thank you, Pete. Here's the proof right here on that eye cleaver.
Yeah,
That's not going to focus.
add one.
Add one.
So how would you power creep Mr. Vengeance?
Uh, I'd give him a choice on one of those out of the rings, so he has the option to maybe not get disqualified as much.
I'd remove it down on level 3.
Okay. That'd really, really beef him up.
Yep.
Because his offense is fine.
Yeah.
It's really good. So
Like, even he's only got a +2 finisher, but
right, but the
for
add
most
one.
people with that add one,
Hmm.
because you can go add one down pin. That's another one for
Right.
your finisher. All of a sudden, you got to beat your pin by 5 now. It's like
I
off of
saw
what?
this a discussion somewhere where people don't. Now I've always done it. If you roll the add one followed by a pin, I've seen people not the discussion recently that they don't add one for the pin attempt
Uh,
because you haven't really done anything beyond the add one move. But I think that gets to be in that gray area of like
yeah, it just becomes a house rule. You do have
exactly
to
because
follow. You do have to follow league.
hmm
The R, the raw rules as written.
right, exactly. And every pin attempt adds fatigue. And that's just an added bonus.
Yep.
Because in that case, would you add one after the finisher then? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I always add the for the pin attempt. Just makes sense. As I said about 5 to 10 minutes ago, I like anything that speeds up the match. So
Why can't we give people 4 finishers?
why don't he has a +2 finisher? Why don't you add 2 tokens every time? I saw someone played that way. I forget who it was or where I encountered it, but somebody, if they added those tokens every time for a finisher. And I'm like, it kind of makes sense.
Well, technically, it'd be a finisher then.
Exactly.
That
You wouldn't hit
master
it more
lock.
than twice. You might get out of it once, but not a second time,
Ew.
no matter what it was. I mean, how often do people kick out of finishers though in the real world of wrestling? I mean, AEW aside.
I've actually covered this on my Uncle Hitman talks,
There you go.
because even on the independent scene, right? Guys
Hmm.
never kicked out of other people's finishers.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a program and Cody Deaner was on
Hmm.
from Impact,
Yeah.
and the guys who used the DDT as a finisher, they weren't allowed to use the DDT. No one
Hmm.
could even use it as a setup move
Right.
because that's Cody's finisher.
Right.
So if somebody else kicks out of it during a match, it takes away from Cody's.
Makes sense.
And so, I was wrestling probably 5 or 6 years, and nobody kicked out of anybody's finishers really.
Hmm.
And I was working a guy named George Terzis, and George had been around. He had gone to Japan and that, and so we're doing a big tournament, and I'm George's opponent in the final four.
Okay.
Well, I'd say about 8 inches on George. Weight wise, we're close to the same. He's like 5'10", but he's like 250 pounds. He's just solid.
Hmm.
I'm 6'6" and 250.
Hmm.
So George tells me, we know George is going over, and he goes, I want you to kick out of my finish. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He goes, because no one kicks out of finishes. And he goes, by having you kick out of the finish, it makes you look like a monster.
Hmm.
And he goes, that way, because I'm the heel, he's the face. He can do the whole, he's now worried. And then he hits the finisher on me a second time and I stay down.
Okay.
But what he did then is he makes me look good
Right.
because it took him 2 finishers to beat
Hmm.
me, and no one's ever kicked out of even one.
Right.
So that was him protecting his finish.
Hmm.
But he still found a way to make me look good and make himself look good with that.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then you can have it. I think the best I've seen was Steve Austin's last match. I think it was like WrestleMania 13 against The Rock.
Okay.
So uh, The Rock does a stunner on Steve Austin, does his finisher on him.
Hmm.
And how it works is that they hit the finish, and they take so long to cover
Yeah.
that
That
so they're
protects it
still
too.
protecting their finish.
Right, exactly. If you take 5 to 10 seconds to get there to cover, then
Yep.
it makes sense. Gives recovery time. Totally get that.
And it's not like the Young Buck super kick where there's 26 super kicks in a match.
Right?
The super kick, they've taken away from it. No one can use a super kick as a finisher.
No, not even Shawn Michaels if you wanted to.
It's just gone away.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that could be our topic for this week. Finishes. But I think honestly, I think in the game, I think it's too easy to kick out of people's finishers. Honestly, at least the first time, you know.
Yeah, unless you
So
got a bad dice roll like that one Canada Cup. where I won all 4 matches because all my opponents rolled double ones on their first pins.
I was in that bracket. That was unbelievable. Like, what are the odds?
I win because all 4 matches was double ones. I win. Double ones. I win. Really? Double?
Loaded dice.
That was the easiest bracket ever.
It was quick too. You only had to play your matches because none of us could even mathematically catch you. So yeah, that was in the first Philly one, I believe.
Yep.
Yep, that was fun. Good times
Okay, well, let's swap over to Janus.
with his bowl cut.
I hated that Mo from Three Stooges bowl cut.
But he's dressed to impress, though. He's in a suit of armor.
Yeah. Now, I'll say the first time I saw this set,
Hmm.
I went down to visit Tim in Buffalo. And he's like, so he gives me the set and he goes, and he put them in order of who he thought would be, weakest to toughest.
Okay,
I'm looking at the set and I'm like, it's a fairly solid set.
it is. It's
I remember
stacked.
getting to the Thanos and I'm like, disappointed. And he
Hmm.
goes, wait, he goes, look at Janus. He could be Thanos' son.
Uh-huh.
He goes, it's a submission hold +4.
Hmm.
He goes, the guy is solid.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm like, okay. And yeah, he's damn good.
Hmm.
In his first 2 years, who does he face? Thanos, and he beats him twice.
Yeah, he went right in there. He's from Dimension X, so they teamed him with Matador and Chaos,
I
making
had
that
him,
team even
I had him
better.
feuding Matador because I had Matador turn quickly. Matador
Okay.
was face for a long time,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
he
he
came in as
lost.
a tag partner with Matador.
He lost against Matador.
Really?
Yep, Matador beat him twice.
Wow.
Yeah,
I guess it's not that surprising. They're pretty evenly matched, but
so if I go down, he beat Thanos. Now, I have Torin Kalem, but I wrestled him as Torin Kalem Jr.
okay.
So they had a battle of submission, and they drew. I was like, ooh. And then he beat Matador, and then Colossus, he drew against Colossus, beat Pulsar, and then he drew against Alpha Force. So he's facing some tough competition as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And he captured 2 Intergalaxian singles for me. But now what happened in my promotion was he was viewed as a weak link because, he's been in the league like 10 years and only captured 2 singles titles. It's because he was always taking a backseat to Hercules and Chaos and
Hmm.
Matador. And he finally just had enough and, you know, said, he wanted to start going after the heavyweight title and they all jumped him. Called him the weak link. And Alpha
Wow.
Force and all those guys made the save
Hmm.
from Pegasus. And so he entered um, the grand championship, the 128-man tournament, and he won it. He was the weak link. So now he's going to be taking on Matador
Nice.
for the heavyweight title, and it's going to be his first heavyweight title match.
He's gonna get him this time. He's got it.
So it's going to be, I'm excited for it. So it'll be
That'll be
good.
fun. Yeah, looking at his card, he's solid. His pin's is 6'3", but he only has one down with a leave. He's got 2 dazed on level 2 defense. 3 comebacks on level 1. They're all a 1,
Yeah,
but still 3 comebacks. He's got a +4 finisher. He'll keep you on level 3. Because he's got his drop kick too, but it's choice G, which is a death jump, so that'll keep you down. Then two straight three, two straight through level 3 moves on level 2, and one with a choice E, so there's a good chance that's going to get through.
yep.
So yeah, just really
And I
solid.
think he's a -3 agility, -2 power,
-1 power.
-1
So
power.
double negative. DQ of 5. All his charts are an A except for his death jump is a B.
Yeah,
So he's gonna roll on the charts. Reverse a lot there. So yeah, really, really tough guy. And I just looked up and I didn't realize he only had one card. He got a special edition card, but it was just new art. So
and
he ran
for
with
me,
this
the
card
hound
for a long
coming in
time.
at 6'5", 265 pounds.
Pretty close. He's 6'3.5", 260 by the official rating here. So pretty darn close.
Yep. Because the reason I made up my own ratings because there was never any listed.
Yeah, it wasn't until the GWF files came out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't until what, like 2000?
Yeah. And even then, I disagree with a bunch of
Just based on the art.
them. So I've just always made my own. If people are wondering,
Yeah, you might get some heat.
yeah, you
I
can't
do
make it.
like that that's printed on the cards now.
Oh, I do, and for a lot of them, I just keep it,
Hmm.
or if I do, I penciled.
Yeah. Post-it note.
That's how that's how this is going.
But yeah, definitely solid guy. I kind of wish he became a major player in the CPC, obviously, but I would like to see more like an update even of him, like make him even tougher. One card where he's tougher, because why not?
Well, that's what we're here for with the power creep.
Right?
I know what I'd do.
All right, I got an idea. I'll make the finisher instead of a +4, a roll finisher like the Big Bang, where you could go up to a +6.
Can you miss on it, or is it just straight
Nope,
through?
just straight through. There's a submission hold, so you can really like cinch it in or something like that, and
I was going to say his number 4 move on level 2 offense becomes a -3 straight.
okay, get rid of the choice. Another thing you could do is make his number 6 on level 1 as a 3 move because it's into the
Yeah,
turnbuckle now. Sometimes that's such a momentum killer. Like if somebody rolls a dazed and then you go up to 1 and then you roll a 6, like, hey, oh, it's into the turnbuckle.
6 another turn.
And then they reverse it somehow.
That was my fastest match at one of the Galacticons.
Hmm.
It was in the finals of a tournament, and it was a 1 move final. I had Lord Nexus. Bob Ashby had Thantos. He wins initiative, rolls a 6 into the turnbuckle.
Snake eyes.
I roll Snake Eyes, which is you lift a knee onto the opponent's charging. Roll pin, and Bob Ashby rolls pin.
Snake eyes again.
Yep.
It would have had to have been to get Santos.
And it's like a 1 move into the turnbuckle tournament final in a steel cage.
That happened to poor Jim Steele. He drove all the way from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh for the first tournament that I ran at the comic book store. And we only had tables because it was tabletop day. So we only had the tables for an hour. So we were going to get this. And he had other plans in the city. Hung out with Kevin Weibel. It's a weekend or whatever. So it wasn't like it was a total loss, but he he did the exact same thing. So it was 1 move and he's out of the tournament. So yeah, I felt bad for him. Even more so because it was me that did it to him. Yeah, he was a good sport about it. Jim's a great guy.
That was just it was just funny. It's I'm like I said I probably won like 40 something tournaments at the Galacticon over the years, but that's one that always sticks out in my head.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
oh
you remember those fluky ones because they're just funny. You
yeah,
know, like just to see like the defeat on some people's faces. Like, Really? That's it. That's why I like the Canada Cup. It's not a one and done tournament. So even if you are, you could still play spoiler for somebody, even if you've lost every match. I do like that format because it adds more to it.
The round robin bracket.
Hmm. But yeah, the single elimination tournaments can be brutal if the dice just aren't on your side. I
If
felt so.
anybody wonders how we got the idea for the Canada Cup format, is we stole it from the Memorial Cup, which
Okay.
in sports it's probably the toughest championship to win
Hmm.
in all of sports, the
Yeah.
Memorial Cup. So you have the OHL, the ECHL, and the Western Hockey League. And so you have each one of them have 16 teams that make the playoffs.
Hmm.
And then there's a wild card put in. And so not only do you have to win 16 games to win your championship, then you have to play three other champions or two other champions plus a top seeded wild card.
Yeah, why not?
And that's what we did, except we just made, okay, you're gonna, instead of a wild card, we just made four brackets.
Hmm.
And that's what it is. So, there's no fluke winners.
Right. Yeah. And New Japan does a lot of their tournaments that way too. The Super J Cup. I can't even think of the big one for the world title, but it's a similar thing. There's multiple brackets. You have to fight everybody. Best record wins or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun tournament. It'll take some time, which is why we don't do all of them that way.
No.
And you always pick jabronis too to make it even take longer.
Yeah, we did that last year. Chad Olson still complained, and Barry Walsh complained because I put Mimic in it.
The Mimic won,
And Mimic won.
so they might have been on to something.
Because for me, Mimic did not do anything. It was horrible, and I based it off my stats.
He was the Canada Cup winner in 2022.
Yeah.
Put that on his resume.
And Michael Barada won that.
He did. Friend of the show.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So we kind of touched on it in our discussion of Vengeance and the ad one, but let's talk about some finishers in the world of wrestling.
For our topic.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
touched
well,
on it.
yeah. See, and with finishers compared to game and then to real life,
Hmm.
um, the one thing I noticed, if you're in a promotion, you know, only one guy can do that move.
Uh-huh.
The super kick. There was no one else allowed to do the super kick with Shawn Michaels.
Right. Just made sense.
Yep.
That was his finisher.
Same as a DDT. No one did a DDT when Jake Roberts was in the WWF.
Hmm.
That's just the way it was.
Right. But now those moves are pretty much just setup moves or opening move in some cases.
I remember I can't remember who I discussed this with. And if you go back, like Whipper Billy Watson beat
Hmm.
Lou Thez for the NWA World Title with an abdominal stretch.
Uh-huh. Now it's a rest hold.
An abdominal stretch won the NWA World Title.
Uh-huh.
And I remember watching Ric Flair's first match in the WWF,
Hmm.
and he won it with a suplex.
Shawn Michaels used to use a side suplex as a finisher. He called it the teardrop suplex. Remember that? Before he
Yeah.
started doing the sweet chin music. It was when he first turned on Jannetty. I
Uh,
only know that because he did it in one of the video games. I was like, that's just a suplex.
yeah, like, or even The Rock.
Yeah,
His first move was a shin breaker.
yeah, yeah. He didn't even name it anything cool
Oh
that I
no,
can
you just
remember.
you just atomic dropped my knee.
Yeah,
my shin. Oh,
And then, well, he really advanced his finisher to an elbow drop, where you run and get momentum and then stop and do the elbow drop. Not do it while running. Stop, pose, and then drop the elbow. He got
but
that
that was
over
back
though.
when everybody was doing those crazy,
Hmm.
the
Just silly.
worm. Yeah, they were just. That's what made finishers. You had two types of finishers. You had the finishers where they'd call them,
Hmm.
like Ric Flair when he did
Yeah.
this. That was signaling the figure four.
Hmm. Now it's like the surprise finisher, like hitting it out of nowhere and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like Randy Orton's probably the best for it right now with his RKO. He just hits it out of anywhere.
Hmm.
But some of those finishers take a toll.
Yeah.
Like Hogan with his leg drop.
Hmm.
He said, that's why his back's screwed up.
He's a big guy to be doing that.
Steve Austin, same thing. When you
Hmm.
land on your ass, it hurts.
Hmm.
But
Imagine doing that every night, being 300 pounds.
like those rings aren't as padded as everybody thinks they are.
No, it's like a mattress pad on wood.
So when you land on your ass, it sends shockwaves up your spine.
Hmm. Yeah. And if you think about it too, the leg drop isn't a big flashy finisher,
No,
but I mean, if done in real life, a man that big dropping his leg across your head and neck, it would take you down for 3 seconds.
yeah, probably. But with Hogan too, when he developed the leg drop, it was the stuff in front.
Hmm. The Hulk up, the point, the big
It was the
boot.
Hulk up and the punch, block, punch off the ropes, the big foot, you go down. It's the setup.
Hmm.
It was all part of the package.
And the reason for that was he could do that to anybody.
Yep.
A small guy, a guy twice his size, whatever, he could do that to anybody, which is
Yep.
cool. That's what makes a good finisher, is you can do it to anyone.
See, when when I first started wrestling, okay, I'm like my finisher, and I wanted to be like the Dean Malenko,
Hmm.
the man of a thousand holds, and I knew an insane amount of moves. Like at one point, the wrestlers made a bet with me where I couldn't duplicate a move and see how many matches I could go until I duplicated it. Now I was allowed to do a punch and a kick.
Okay.
Strikes didn't count, but actual wrestling moves I couldn't duplicate. And I
Hmm.
think I got to eight.
Nice.
And we're not talking, we're talking 15 minutes of matches.
Hmm.
And so that's where I got the idea where, people, what's your finisher? All of them. Literally hit anything,
Yeah.
and so I made a whole series of finishers, and I'm like, I got to settle on one.
Hmm.
And I wanted to finish where nobody was using, because that's the
Hmm.
one thing too. Everybody's like, "Oh, you stole that from."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for a little while, I used the what is it, the Famouser by that Christian was using.
Hmm.
I was using that, um, and nobody used it because I saw Tommy Rogers use it in a match in Japan. I'm like, nobody's got this tape,
Nice.
and I used it for probably about 6 months, and then Christian started using it. And I'm like, bitch. And so I switched over to the Hangman.
Hmm.
No, nobody used that because I saw an old match with Baron Scalia,
Okay.
who some people might know, Malter the Damager, the guy
Hmm.
who wrestled as Brute on some of the GWF cards.
Hmm.
That's his uncle.
Okay. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know till and because I was talking to him after the show one time. He was like, "What do you use for a finisher?" And I told him, he's like, "Dude," he goes, "Where'd you get that idea from?" I'm like, "From Baron Michael Scalia," and he's like, "That's my uncle." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So it was just kind of weird. But the problem was is I couldn't get big guys up.
Hmm.
So the finisher looked great, but if you were 300 pounds, uh
Yeah.
so I switched over to a move that just became my finish. So I'd take you up for like a belly to back.
Hmm.
So I'd put you for like almost look like you're going up for an atomic drop,
Okay.
except I'd move my hand across your chest, drop out, and then choke slam you.
Okay.
So I could lift you up and set you anywhere in the ring just to make
Hmm.
sure you're going to be in the center of the ring and
Yeah.
drop you, and so it's a choke slam
Yeah. Damian Priest does something similar to that.
because he stole it from
Like he
Salvador
calls it
Madrid.
South of Heaven. You have to look it up on YouTube and see if it's the same thing. It sounds similar.
And so I use that, but I after that I didn't bounce around for too many finishes, but I want a finisher where I could hit from anywhere,
Hmm.
and that's what it was. You pick a guy up, boom,
Yeah.
and you could end it, and that's what makes some finish like the DDT was awesome because Jake Roberts hit that out of nowhere,
Hmm.
or Arn Anderson when he invented the spine buster.
Yeah.
That
Look at
that
look how many people use the spear because
yeah,
of the explosiveness of that move, and you can just kind of do it.
I took, I, and I've talked about this before. I fought Rhino for the ECW World Title once,
Hmm.
and I took that spear. I got a concussion.
Yep.
Not gonna lie, and because I told it because now I'm bigger than Rhino. We weighed, he outweighed me by about 15 pounds, but
Hmm.
you know I
He's a
got
squat guy.
I got about 6 7 inches on him, and I told him I said, when you hit me, I said I'm gonna sell that like you just busted me in half,
Hmm. So then he did.
and he hit it, and I threw myself on the ground. When I threw myself on the ground, we were so close to the edge, my head hit the ring apron where there's
Ugh.
no padding.
The hardest part of the ring.
So there's a steel bar that runs around, and I threw my head into the back of that, not realizing how close we were. And that's all I remember of the match
Oh no.
because it was a four-way dance.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen a video of it, and I remember I can see the video, and I'm watching Rhino get the pin, and then he sees I'm not there. The lights are on, no one's home, and he gingerly pushes me out of the ring, and I
Hmm.
kind of just go out, and then I'm gone, and then about 30 seconds pass, and then I just pop back up like I'm gonna go to the ring, and one of the other ring attendants just grabs me and takes me to the back, and I
Yeah.
don't remember the match.
Wow.
I don't remember the lead up to it. They're just
Fun.
yeah, that's the thing about finishers. If you can hit it anywhere, it's great. But then you
Hmm.
have the finishers that are dramatic, like Randy Savage's elbow.
Yeah, yeah.
That was amazing when he hit it.
Hmm.
'Cause, he's up on top. It was a high flying move back then.
Yeah.
Hits a finish.
He nearly killed Charles Robinson with that. Caved in his chest.
Like, it was great. But there's some guys like Tito Santana with you throw him off the rope, he's coming off with the flying forearm, boom,
Hmm.
over.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting when you see the evolution of finishers, or
Hmm.
when you see guys like Ric Flair using the figure four, and then you can see how he'd get wins, and then he stopped getting wins.
Yeah. Everybody
Everybody
started
and their
using the
brother
figure four.
kicked out.
Yeah. And then that finisher is probably the most used move as a finisher. Dusty did it. Greg Valentine did it. Flair. I'm
No, I,
sure.
I I like Charlotte Flair's version where she does the
Yeah, she
figure eight,
bridges. Yeah.
where she bridges, and I'm like, that's cool.
Hmm.
Now, for anybody who's been put in a figure four, you're going to give up in about 1 second
Yeah.
because that move is incredibly painful.
Hmm.
There's no, oh no, 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 no. If they even tense up, you're like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Yep.
That like there's a reason. There's a difference between a pin submission and an actual like a pin and a submission.
Hmm.
Submissions, uh, you know, you can get the build up to it.
Yeah, work a body
Like it's
part.
coming like the Sergeant Slaughter and Ted DiBiase where they're sneaking up to do the Cobra Clutch $1 million dream.
Hmm.
The fans see it and they're like, oh no. And they get it on, and either they're going to get it or it's a 1, 2, 3, and as soon as you see this, you know, the guy's coming back.
Yeah. I'm glad they don't drop the arm 3 times anymore. They just do it once because
Yeah,
that was kind of hokey.
but it's neat when you see like the evolution of finisher. Now with the high spot monkey matches,
Hmm.
they'll hit 18 finishers in a row. Everybody kicks out on a two,
Hmm.
then the other guy takes over, hits his 15 high spot finishers in a row,
And
kicks
then
out
the
on a two,
and then the
and
match ends
then
with a
wins a
roll up.
small package.
Yep. Yep.
I it boggles my mind. There's no storytelling there. It's just yeah,
Hmm.
that's because that's what fans want to see. But then you give fans an old school match, and they're like, wow,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's
Different
what I like
different
about
breed.
yeah, that's what I like about Josh Alexander.
Hmm.
Like I worked a lot of shows with him, and I'd go out and I'd watch his matches.
Hmm.
Like they were so good.
Yeah.
He was a phenomenal wrestler. Hopefully he'll get back from his injury soon and
Yeah, he'll be all right.
see him again. But then you look at say the game, its finishers,
Hmm.
you know, and you see it where everybody kind of wants to give somebody a gimmick finish,
Yeah.
and it gets to the point where I think the first gimmick finish was the tag team finish.
Hmm.
Where Badger's got two, one's a tag.
Yeah. There's the roll and you can miss
Yeah. And well, Bishop Hell had
the fireball,
the, the
hellfire.
fireball, and they came out in the same set,
Hmm.
and they were both big finishers. Like rarely do you have a gimmick finish that's a 0 or a +1.
Right, right. Or the it's always like there's the DQ finish and the regular one on a lot of cards.
Yep.
The roll finish where you can miss like a high flying move of some kind where the one thing that always bothered me about top rope finishes is that it hurts the guy a lot more to land on the mat than it does to land on a person. That always
Yeah.
made me laugh. Like say you're doing a frog splash and you land on a guy, like that doesn't hurt as bad as landing on the mat apparently. Because if they roll out of the way and you hit the mat, it's over.
Oh, that mat, like I said, that mat hurts,
Yeah, but so does a person.
but the person is cushioning.
Yeah, you have to land on the right part of the person.
The uh I've like Mayhem.
Hmm.
Mayhem's a perfect guy for that.
Yeah.
You know, 50-50 shot.
Hmm.
And I don't know a single person went, no, I'm not going to do it. He's
Nah,
going
not
to
gonna do it.
re-roll. It's
Not gonna do it.
man, you got to go for it.
Right, it's mayhem.
And when he hits that plus, I remember he hit a +6. I was like, huge. Nobody had a +5 even. He's hitting a 5 and a 6.
Well, my mayhem character that I created for FTR, he could do the leap of doom, but it didn't. There was no benefit to him doing it. It was like a 1 in 6 chance, I think, for him to hit it, but it wasn't any better than his actual finisher. He just tried to do it to look cool. Which I thought was funny.
So yeah, it's been an interesting you know evolution when you see finishers both
Hmm.
both in the game
Yeah,
and then in real life in the
right.
matches.
They Kill Prey, I forget how his worked, but his was something like there had to be so many tokens on the guy before he could do it, things like
Yep.
that, or hit certain moves first. I forget how it worked, but it was something where things had to happen in the match before he could actually do the finisher, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, because he's setting you up.
Hmm. It was a brutal finisher too, so it wasn't like it's you get a +1 finisher after.
I think I won a tournament with Kill Prey
Yes, I'm not that far, but I remember playing with him in something, and I was like, that's pretty neat that you have to do all these different things to get to it first.
because
Somebody in the
I
comments will
faced
tell us what it was, but
I faced Corey Olson in the finals of a tournament,
hmm
and I won with Kill Prey, and I had no idea who Kill Prey was. I'm like, this
yeah,
guy's kind of cool.
yeah, I like them.
So it was kind of neat. But as we're just going to set to wrap this up, I was going to do a little shout out to I got a text from Christopher Beller.
hmm
He he messaged me because he's heard me talk about how I do my ranking systems
hmm
and how I do points,
Yeah,
and I even do points for my Hall of Fame. And the reason I do the points is because I don't want the game to ever uh, for me to play favorites. I
yeah.
like Massive, so Massive's going to get nothing but title shots.
It's easy to do.
Yep.
It's very easy to do.
And so by giving away points, so if Massive's 3 points and Vanity's 1 point, if Massive gets has a series of matches with Vanity, he beats him. Say he's got a best out of five. He beats him 3 times. He's only getting 3 points. But Vanity, who's a 1 point wrestler, beats Massive. That's 3 points just for
Right.
one win because it's the upset. So he gets more. So I have my wrestlers ranked 1 through 5. So Chaos, he's 5 points. Chaos doesn't want to fight guys that are level 1 and 2 because he's never going to get a title shot wrestling guys 1 and 2. So all his guys were 3, 4, and 5. Like he's the only 5, so threes and fours.
hmm
And then how I did my heavyweight title because I didn't want not heavyweight, sorry, Hall of Fame. I didn't want everyone making it because it's a Hall of
hmm
Fame. Not ST Jones, sorry, Coco Beware, sorry, you guys aren't making it in the Hall of Fame.
They are in the Hall of Fame though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying my standards are a little higher. My standards are like Major League Baseball. You got to get that 75%.
It's had to be around long enough in the WWE.
Yeah. So how I did my Hall of Fame, and I think I briefly touched on it a while ago, but he had asked, so I'll repeat it here. Is my heavyweight was 250 points. You
Okay.
have to get 250 points. You got 1 point for every victory you got.
Okay.
So if Santos had 125 wins and only singles.
hmm
So he's halfway there. My heavyweight titles were like 15 points. So he's a
Okay.
nine-time champion. He's pretty much in. And then you
Yeah.
got 5 points for every feud
Okay.
win, and you got 1 point for a draw. And then all the other titles, I assigned them. I think every secondary title was 5, or no, the heavyweight I think was 10 points, and every secondary title was 5. And so I add up the points, and if you're 250 points, you're in the hall.
Okay.
And with tag teams, I made it 125 because not everybody's, you know,
Right.
wrestling tag teams, and
Right. Right. Might
they
switch
always,
partners or something.
yeah. And but some guys could make it in for both.
hmm
Or he had a question. He's like, I teamed up Massacre and Spike. I'm like, hey, so did I. I'm like, but Massacre would get points, for Brute. So Brute and Massacre made it in as a tag team.
hmm
But Massacre ended up with more points. No big deal, but he got in as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can have guys who, um, like Incredible Badger. He was part of 2 solid tag teams. His partners might not make it in,
hmm
but Badger will probably make it in just on his career singles because he was the guy with the tag finisher. So he
Right.
teamed up with multiple people. So Badger just might make it in just on his own as a tag
Okay.
guy.
I
So
like
that's
it.
where I did it.
Nice. Chris is also a big supporter of my NDW cards, so shout out for that. He even killed off Roadkill Raccoon to the point where he had to be mopped up. So I'll let him tell you that story, but it's funny. I got a kick out of it.
And if you want to shout out your store before we go.
Oh yeah, if you head to BrocsterBuilds.com, it's linked below. You'll see all my NDW cards, and the new Power Creeper card is available there too. The cards, I should say, it's a 2-card set. So yeah, BrocsterBuilds.com, check that out. There's t-shirts, other stuff on there as well, and I'm adding new stuff pretty much every day for now because it's brand new, so I'm still figuring everything out. But it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice tool for me to help move things along, which is nice. So yeah, check it out, BrocsterBuilds.com.
Do our
Yeah, let's. What do we
our
say?
shout outs.
Put a bow on it.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching the show. If you have not yet, click that subscribe button. We have hit our goal of 123 in 2023.
We're 124 now.
Woo! So now the goal is 1,000, so we can monetize. So yeah, if you have not yet, please click that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It's here somewhere too. And while you're here, scrolling down to the description, you'll see all of our friends make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast, Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpree, the Filsinger Games Fancast from Grant. Here on YouTube, we also have Grant on his solo promoter, Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling, which he streams live on Saturday night. My camera's being weird. Okay. It's shaking and like going in and out of focus. Anyway, Dave's on Saturday nights live on YouTube. Saturday Night Live. Check him out. I believe it's 7 Central, I believe is when he starts. So 8 p.m. Eastern. Also on YouTube, we have After Further Review. Over on Twitch, you can check out Tiger Strike painting from Matthew Butcher. He does some live painting there. He's pretty talented, so check that out. You'll find my Twitch link. I stream a bootleg fed every Sunday night at 9 p.m. It's been ongoing for a little less than 2 years, so check that out. And yeah, if you have any Filsinger Games related content you'd like us to share below, please let us know. We'll be happy to give you a shout out in our description. So yeah, next week we got a big one. We're going to do a recap of 2096 with Mr. Filsinger himself.
Yep. He has to come back, making a regular occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back, and this time we got some listener questions.
Mm-hmm. Should be a good time. We're giving him a little more time to prepare this time.
Yep.
But yeah, check that out next week, and yeah, we'll see you then.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.